RTV6.
And tonight, multiple raids focused on welfare fraud and theft. It's a story RTV6 broke this morning. At least 11 people in 7 locations, targets of an ongoing investigation. The Metro Police Covert Operations Team led the raids along with the SWAT team, and RTV6 was there every step of the way in the sky and on the ground. Police served search warrants that allowed them to remove computers and documents by the box load.
The reality of being dependent may be coming to a head for millions of Americans on Section 8. Now, just to be clear, I grew up in a neighborhood, a beautiful neighborhood, a wonderful neighborhood.
I don't believe you.
Called the Projects.
Is this nigga serious?
So I know exactly what's going on in these neighborhoods. And I know for a fact that there are people who intentionally do things to accept government assistance. But even so, I never expected for people to do anything for me. And I always saw it necessary for me to take care of myself. If you allow someone else to control what you have, they can pull it away from you whenever they get ready. And now, the Trump administration is currently proposing a 43% reduction in rental assistance benefit, along with other benefits that may be affected. In this video, we're going to dive into the details. I'm not going to speak from emotion. I'm not going to tell you what I feel. We're going to talk about what we know is true right now, so you're not misled by people who haven't done enough research. Welcome to the Mr. Wilson's Got a Headache podcast. I'm your host, Dennis DeMess. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you think in the comment section. Check this out.
Just yesterday, reports indicated that the proposed budget suggests a staggering 43% reduction in funding for these essential programs. This reduction could result in fewer available vouchers, making it increasingly difficult for eligible families to find affordable housing. The Trump administration argues that state and local governments can better handle housing affordability issues. They believe that federal involvement creates unnecessary regulatory burdens. However, many housing advocates and city leaders are sounding alarms. They worry that these cuts will worsen the ongoing housing crisis and lead to increased homelessness.
So as stated before, the Trump administration is proposing roughly around a 40% reduction in rental assistance benefits. At this time, no one knows whether this is just for rental assistance or if this is going to affect other benefits. We don't know if this is going to decrease the amount that the government gives towards your rent, or if 40% of the people who are on these benefits are no longer going to be able to receive these benefits. Now, most experts expect that this will have an effect on the housing market because there are landlords who specifically rent to Section 8 applicants. And if these people are unemployed and refuse to be employed, it's expected that this may increase homelessness across the United States, especially if people refuse to be proactive now. The one thing we know is that they've made this announcement, and now you have the time to go get you a job so you can supplement your income at least. The Trump administration also stated that these benefits and how they are dispensed should be decided by each individual state. Some people suggest that the state may make up the shortfall, but that's yet to be realized. They've also stated that if you are an able-bodied person, you can only receive these benefits for 2 years, and then you need to be back on your feet. Now, of course, on social media, everybody has their opinions about how this should be dispensed and what they think about people who are on these benefits. But one thing most Americans can agree on is that nobody should be receiving these benefits if they're able-bodied, they're not elderly, they're not disabled, for the rest of their lives. Check this out.
The police manpower and machinery showed up early on Dearborn Street. It's where Cynthia Davis lives. She's the mother of Major Davis II, and she's now the focus of a housing fraud and theft investigation. Davis is accused of violating federal housing rules by providing false information to get taxpayer-supported rent assistance. Boxes of evidence were removed from her home. The Call 6 investigators have learned that the housing investigation surfaced as police determined the whereabouts of Major Davis II after the deadly police shooting on July the 5th. A Authorities say days before Officer Perry Rand was killed, Davis was banned on June the 25th from the Beechwood Garden Apartments in Indianapolis. His girlfriend Latasha Ruffin and their children live in this complex. The Indianapolis Housing Agency cited Major's previous criminal activities for placing him on a no trespass list.
Search warrant.
Today, police also served a search warrant on Ruffin's apartment, and her mother's as well, Pam Moorman. Both are also targets of this housing investigation.
As I stated in the beginning of this video, I grew up in a neighborhood where everyone was on Section 8. And I remember when I was younger, when I was a child, when I was in elementary, going over some of my friends' houses and hearing mainly women in the living room talking about their benefits, and there being one woman who was older, who they all seemed to have respect for, telling all the young women how they could receive benefits. Step 1, get pregnant. Step 2, put the man on child support. Step 3, make sure you fill out this paperwork this way. Make sure you don't say this. Make sure when you get to this line, you don't use these particular terms or they may not give you the max benefit. Literally, this woman was considered a wise, strong woman for sharing this information to all the other women in the community. To some people, that sounds normal, and that's a problem. But again, I witnessed this as a child firsthand. I've literally seen generations of families pass on this information and them stay in the same neighborhood, just like we saw in the clip that I played right before we came back. So I'm about to wrap this video up, but I do want to say this before we go. Programs like this started the single mother epidemic in the United States, and it also aided in the destruction of first the Black family. Now, I'm not creating excuses for people. Every person who has done this made a choice to manipulate the system. Unfortunately, the roots have dug so deep that it no longer just affects the Black community. These type of mindsets have reached all across society. I believe that this is the same type of mindset like I talked about on another video that you can watch if you go to my channel. This is the same type of mindset that has people believing that it is the responsibility of society to pay off their student loans. Let me tell you a story about why I became so independent. I remember my mother being a single mother, having children. She was married, but she was a single mother. And I remember her being so financially strapped that she couldn't afford a car. So she reached out to her mother, my grandmother, and asked if they could co-sign on the car because her credit was so bad. Now, my grandfather was a great father. He took care of the house. He was a traditional man, and she grew up in a traditional family. So she knew that my grandfather had the finances and the credit to do it. But it wasn't just my grandfather. It was my grandmother in that house as well.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
They agreed that if she came up with the down payment, they would co-sign on the car. They co-signed on the car. Everything was going great. Our lives began to be better. She could get a better job now because she wasn't subject to carpooling or riding the bus. But there came a time when eventually my mother made a decision that my grandmother didn't agree with.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
So my grandmother decided to tell my mother, but I didn't like that, and you didn't do exactly what I said. So bring my car back to the house.
Is this nigga serious?
We all loaded up in the car, dropped the car off. My grandmother took the keys and then dropped us back off at the house. Maybe a 2-month period with no car means that life gets a lot harder. And now maybe she can't make it to that better paying job. So she has to take a job that's closer to the house. And again, life gets much harder. As a child, I witnessed this firsthand. So it was at this time that I decided that I would be independent no matter what. So when I decided to make a decision as an adult that you don't like, well, you can tell me about it, but there's nothing you can do about it. And I think that is the biggest point. If the government tells a woman that you cannot have the father in your house if you're going to receive benefits, there's nothing she can do about it. If she decides to do it anyway, they can pull the rug from up under her. If you want to be independent and you want to make your own decisions, then you need to do it by yourself. This day was inevitable. I do feel kind of bad for the people who may end up homeless or may have to go live with some family or may live in a hotel, but this day was inevitable. It is always inevitable when you put the control in someone else's hands. I'm only gonna know what you think if you let me know in the comments. Do me a favor, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.